Scrapbookers and creative friends. I'm Linda Petuch. I'm a Creative Memories Independent Advisor in Jupiter, Florida. So today I want to welcome you to Thursday Thoughts and my BEE-Appaloosa. So I'm going to show you how I've created some layouts and some borders that honor World Bee Day, which is May 20th. And because all worker bees are the ones we see out flying around doing all the work, because they are all female, we are also honoring all the moms of the world. And that includes whether it's a mom to humans, fur babies, fin babies, feather babies, taking care of family members as if you were their mom. I know we're all out there. So let's get started and see what I've come up with using some of our Creative Memories materials. So these are the basic tools that I use. Of course, you need paper as well, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I did use the Honeycomb Border Maker cartridge, which sadly is not available at this point in time. I'm hoping they will bring it back. Still available, though, is our Bumblebee punch and the Hexagon. It's the embossed Hexagon. And when you use any of the punches that are called embossed, you do have to push a little bit harder before you release the paper, and that pushes that design into it. I also today am working with some washi tape. I don't do that a lot, but I bought this last year for my crop. Last year actually landed on May 20th, World Bee Day. So of course it was bee theme. This week it's going to be bee theme too, this month. But so I'm going to use washi tape, a black pen, because you know I love to draw those designs when insects are flying around. So I'm going to use that as well. Scissors for a little bit of fussy cutting. And then I found that the all-purpose, multi-purpose tool was really great when I was placing some of the little objects to pick them up and get them, especially this honeycomb. So let's take a look. First, let's take a look at some layouts that I have in a couple of albums. So this is my 2023 album from last year. I make a calendar album, an annual album, and I had already used something different. I used yellow roses for May last year. So I decided I wanted to have, because we have bees here all year long in southern Florida. So I decided I wanted to use a bee theme for June. And what I did was I used this laser cut, and then I made another little additional frame out of that honeycomb. And then what I do to tie these together, because I'll have a calendar page and then a decorative page on this side, then I added, you can see I added some of the same elements just to tie those together. So so this was that. And then throughout the month, then I just used this 2022 Bumblebee paper to continue the theme throughout. And of course, had to throw watermelons in because it was June already. Okay, let's look at this year's. So for 2024, I already decided ahead of time that I was going to use bees for May, because May 20th, as I said, is World Bee Day. So this, I know this is a little bit over the top, but that's because I found a planter with little flowers in it, that little yellow flowers in it, that I wanted to replicate. So I used the honeycomb punch here. I just put this, I cut a frame, and then I cut it out actually, and then put the honeycomb and just layered different layers. And then you can see I made drop flowers and so forth. Tied it all together for May. Here's some other layouts that I did. I cut that honeycomb using the jumbo circle. I traced it first, and then after I cut it, then I made the honeycomb in a circle, added some drop flowers to make a wreath out of it. These are all embellishments from maybe 2022. I mix and match because I use my stash. Another laser frame. And over here we have Pooh Bear. That's a very old punch I have. Punched him right into the corner with some bees, because we know Pooh Bear and honey. And then other, these are, I believe, for Vivid Melodies or one of the flower special collections we had. And then this is obviously summer paper, but I just framed it with the honeycomb, because you know that pollinators like butterflies and bees are solar powered. So I thought that just went perfectly. All right, now let's take a look at some of my individual pages that are not in albums. So if you participated or purchased supplies from the 2022 National Scrapbook Day, that was when we had this theme with this beautiful Bumblebee paper, which I just loved. It had, of course, other springtime activities, flying kites and so forth, but this was the spread number 1 that they provided for us. But you know me, of course, I had to play with it and made some designs of my own. So this first one is using that Bumblebee paper, of course, and then other complementing colors. Not a lot of bees. I didn't add any bees to this because we have bees as part of the border. This one I made a frame with the bees. Made it a little bit smaller than the cardstock that it was on, and then added, of course, the complementary colors. I've got a journal box here. Plenty of Bumblebee fun. Now this design I want to share with you because this is so simple, but you can do it with any collection. I've done it with other collections as well. I think Donna Guest was the first one I saw do this, but I love just those simple triangles, because then once you have the simple triangles, and with whatever mix and match any collection, then you can just place your photographs on here any way you wish, and you still can see the design. Still see that design, and you could easily add four photographs, maybe a journal box as well. But it's a nice simple way to use different papers in a collection. So these pages I created because I wanted to honor our bees. I'm very grateful for them, as most of us are, because they help pollinate all these delicious fruits that we love to eat. So this was, I made a frame out of the yellow cardstock, and I used that interior that I cut out. I used that for another project, but I made the frame and I mounted it on the black shimmer. And then in order to tie this together, because I had the black here and of course yellow and black, that's our Bumblebee thing, I decided to mat them on yellow here and add an embellishment. This black strip of paper, again, is just to tie it in. I just cut the strip of paper, probably was a scrap, folded it in half and put it there. And this little embellishment that I made, I'm going to talk about a little bit later, because this is the same size as our cards, as the Creative Memories cards. So I have some other examples of using, this is the Hexagon, embossed Hexagon punch. I made some drop flowers, another leaf punch, and of course our beautiful Bumblebee punch. Very simple, and these are bees in my backyard. This actually is a hummingbird feeder. Hummingbirds couldn't care less about my feeders. They really love my blossoms that I have. I planted 4 pollinators in my yard, so we have lots for butterflies and bees and hummingbirds, who are only here seasonally, but I put that up. It's a beautiful feeder, but they fly right past it, go to the blossom. But the bees, man, they were loving it. So here's a simple page using not the honeycomb, but instead the little rickrack. That only took 2 punches because you get 2 with each. And when I just overlapped it like here in the corner, added a little saying. And this could be about bees, but it could also be about busy people as well. This one is one from when I was playing with mixing and matching the different border maker cartridges. This, as you know, is the honeycomb. This is the poinsettia edge, because bees need to have flowers, so I thought I would just mix and match those. And I ended up with this little flower corner, and then just popped a few bees on there. But you can see little happy moments. Could be with people, could be with in my garden. That's often what I do with these layouts. But again, I use that sunshine paper because of these pollinators being solar powered. You can add, this was a little matte card that I just cut. Doesn't look that great on this page, but I'll show you on another page. Okay, this one I stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit because I'm just taking a chance. We'll see how it works. So what I decided to do here was I decided to make a frame. That's not out of my comfort zone. I've done that before. So I cut a 1-inch frame. This is the paper that I cut out, so I just flipped it over. Cut a hexagon here to add Be Happy, and a little embellishment here. Again, this is the 2022 Bumblebee paper. I loved it, so of course I have a lot of it. But I use a lot of top loading pockets. So on the flip side, I have this other design. This is, of course, the paper I flipped over. And so now we have a green frame. But to help stabilize it a little bit, I put a strip of paper here, the washi tape up here. And then on this side, these leaves actually are helping hold it together. This is popped up on a foam square, this little flower, so when I decide to put pictures, you can slide them underneath there. So this page is a little bit more fragile than normal because it's just this washi tape that's kind of holding it together on this side. But I thought it was worth the challenge, and I love the look of it. So I couldn't wait to share this discovery with you. When they originally issued, the Creative Memories issued the Honeycomb punch, we didn't have gold shimmer, but we do now. So I decided to try the gold shimmer because I'm thinking gold and sweet honey. I don't know if you can see that little shimmery design going on there, but I love using the gold shimmer for that. The other discovery that I made is when you use the gold shimmer for the Hexagon punch, the design shows up really well. I don't know how much you can see that, but the design is really easy to punch into it because it's heavy enough. The gold shimmer cardstock is heavy enough to be stable, but it also makes that embossed design nicely. So think about that if you have gold shimmer and you have that punch. Okay, so I have this set up. All I did here, of course, was punch several rows or several times. I punched the border of the honeycomb, and then I just trimmed it and made it different lengths at the top. And I'm all set here. These are 4x6, so I'll have to cut my pictures a little bit less than that. Use a hexagon because we're thinking hexagon and beehives. And this is, of course, mounted on cardstock. Okay, another washi tape adventure. This time I decided to do some work with one. This is the Vivid Melodies, I believe. And I decided that I wanted to just use one sheet of paper. And so what I did was I cut a 2-inch strip at the top, 4-inch at the bottom, and then flipped the middle. And the way this is held together are using the tape chips. Now you can do this, you can weld this together using the tape chips, just don't take off the backing. And that way it's ready to go unless, just don't take it off. Just leave it like that. Now I can't use this in the top loading pocket unless I put, which is very easy to do, I could put a strip here, but I wanted you to be able to see how I did the tape chips. It's very stable, and it's one sheet of paper that you get 2 designs out of. So now if I just add another strip of paper on here, that'll complete both sides. So I have a double page spread. Again, here's the honeycomb. This is the washi tape. I used this one the most because it was the most visible and showed up the best on the papers. And then just to carry that bumblebee feeling, the black washi tape with the gold dots. This is canary cardstock, not the shimmer, but it looks beautiful. Back to the shimmer. I just loved it. So on this one, I just decided to go with a corner and again, cut extra and made them just so that it filled that corner a little bit better, and added my bees. And all of the bees I have put up onto foam squares. And before I leave the bees, I'm going to remind you or share this with you. So when you punch your bee, when you punch the bee out, the wings and the abdomen are completely empty. But I discovered, I have this punch from years ago when I was teaching. It's a little balloon. This balloon is exactly the right size to fill the abdomen of the bee. So if you have any punch about that size, it's just so easy to just punch it out, and then you use the repositionable tape, put it on there, and then you've got little yellow abdomen with those characteristic black and yellow stripes. So that's a good thing to do, okay? My last layout I want to show you, I used the 2022 National Scrapbook Day paper. I have not cropped these pictures the way I want them yet. I'm going to probably mat them, but I just wanted to give you an idea. So I used the cloud paper, but I wanted to ground it. And so that's what I did. I did the grass at the base, did some drop flowers, these little purple stickers. These are very old Mrs. Grossman stickers, but bees love these kind of things. So I decided to put those down here. These are some old bee stickers that I have. I don't think they're creative memories, but they're not touching my photos, so I'm okay with that. And then I used a mat. One of the photo mats, this is one of the larger photo mats for journaling, but I corner rounded the edges. And then I started, again, as I said, I'll probably corner around these so they look better. I may mat a few of them, but just so you get an idea. Here's a candle. I don't know if you can see that. That's a little bumblebee. It's beeswax candle that they put on the to make like a honeycomb. I think they used bubble wrap, to be honest. That's a fun way to do it. I've already started decorating for my crop, which is this be Saturday. So these are some of my Bumblebee things that I have out. And the teacher in me has to have this because this will go in my family album, and there are things that I want my family to always remember. Okay, so this number one, and this I will most definitely met. Bees declared the most important living being on the planet. So we need to save our wild bees, plant for them, don't use pesticides that hurt them. Here's another little quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson, because it talks about, the 90% of wild plants and global crops depend on bees. Every third mouthful of food that we eat depends on pollinators such as bees. No bees, no pollinators, no food. Not a good picture. So this is something that I want my family to always remember as well. So I kind of like teach through my albums. I record our happenings, but I also like to teach through my albums. So I cannot waste an opportunity. Oh, I think I might actually want to add this on here. I'll be playing with this, but this one's already ready to go now to add to my 2024 album. Okay, now let's do BBB, Bumblebee Borders. Now, when I created this one, I actually created it to be a horizontal border. But as I was stacking them up to get them ready to show you, I realized that it actually would work as a vertical border as well, instead of just horizontal. So this is a little bit different for me as well. I cut 3-inch base paper, and then this is one of the garden, I can't remember which garden collection it was, but it was the one with all the succulents in there. I just loved it. So anyway, I put that there because they're blossoms for the bees. There's the washi tape here. I love these two coordinating washi tapes. I think they're really nice. And you don't have to worry about it because it's not going to be touching your photographs. And it adds a really nice touch. Again, you could do it vertically or horizontally. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say, if you haven't, some of you I'm sure know, but when you're making borders or even page layouts and you want them to go together, once you do the first one, go ahead and put the other one next to it so that when you go to line up your features, you can make them even so that when you take them apart, say, oh, yep, she meant to do that. Perfect. All right, next one. So this one I played with the honeycomb punch a little bit, and of course that wonderful bumblebee paper. And what I did was I ran the the hexagons kind of off the edge so that it looks a little more natural. Popped up a bee, and of course have my little travel lines on there. And this is on a base. I just made this smaller. So I think it actually complements the busy paper when you put it on a solid color or an almost solid color. It just grounds it a little bit. Now we had in February, a few years ago, we had a collection called Be Mine, which of course I had to purchase. And this one I used to kind of tell a little story. And I was going to do it so that it could be for both sides, but if that was the case, it would be like this, and then the hives are upside down. So instead, I just thought I'll just make 2 individual ones because I wanted the hives to show. So I put the hexagon here, honeycomb punch on the edge, and then I just made a little story out of this because you see the bees leaving the hive and shows the honeycomb. Again, very simple, but I'll add a nice touch to to garden pictures, being outside, springtime, summertime. And I used another piece of that paper and approached it a little bit differently because here I have a blossom for the bee here, and I have the honeycomb. This one would work either way, okay, because the bees are flying every direction. But here we have a little lesson, we should say, because we have the bee leaving that blossom and heading over to the honeycomb, making things happen. The hives are upside down. Let's keep it this way. Okay. Now, I want to share this with you because if you are a card maker, if you like to make cards, I said I was going to tell you about this. If you cut a piece of cardstock or designer paper and you make it 5 inches by 4 1/8 inches, that can work as a card, the front of a card, or it also can work as an embellishment. Here's what I mean. So this is another version of the one that I showed you before. And see how you run the hexagons off the edge, and then you turn it over and trim off the excess. But then it looks a little bit more natural. And I think I used the silver pen for it to show up on the black here. It's popped up some drop flowers. And we use these. We had my scrapbookers made cards last year with these. So we have these. This one, very simple with washi tape. This is why I purchased the washi tape. And then here are two more versions of this one. This is from National Scrapbook Day last year. We had all those wonderful lemons, but with two different messages, but the same basic design, but you can just play with it. Just be creative. It's really fun. Here's another one with the lemon. You know, those lemons would not exist if pollinators did not get to them first. There we go. And then here's another one with text. Very simple. I didn't do the lines. I just made this one a little more elegant, a little bit less story-like, which is hard for me. Again, with the washi tape. And the little bumblebee. I think maybe I showed you that one already. Okay, so I believe that's all I wanted to share as far as this goes. And you know, you can use your honeybees, use the bee punch and the if you have the honeycomb, that's great. If you don't, maybe a friend has it, you could borrow and punch a bunch and have it. But you know, you can use those. They're wonderful for garden pictures, for just any setting outside. It's a wonderful thing for you to be able to use. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're a mom, I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. And maybe my fur babies have bought things for me. You know, they're really good shoppers. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. And if you have any requests that you'd like, something that you would like me to do, to talk about in a video, I would be happy to see what you have, what you request, and see if I can do that for you. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, I'm gonna buzz off. Happy scrapbooking.